Hello everyone, International Rations here, and today for you I have an Einman German 24-hour ration. This one is a Type 4, and it has expired a few months ago, about 10 months now. Hopefully everything will be fine inside of it, but there's no way to find out except for opening it. So let's, without further ado, open this right up and see what we have. Alright, here we go. As you can see, it is completely jam-packed with stuff. This is one of the larger rations in the world. First item up here is Roggenschrotbrot, if I am pronouncing that correct. This is a canned rye bread, and as you can see, it's in a sealed tin. Next up, we have a isotonic beverage. And another one, this is grapefruit, one that is called exotic flavor, an orange, and that first one was a citrus. Next we have two cranberry energy bars made by Oripo. I believe these are some sort of tissue papers or something like that. I can translate that a little later. We have a chocolate bar right here. Some beef jerky with its package in English, so maybe this was made in England or the US or somewhere. We have some cookies with vanilla something. I think these are some sort of vanilla Teddy Grahams. We've got army biscuits, so basically crackers. We have another chocolate bar. We have some sort of jam, and let me get my translator for you real quick. This looks like a cherry jam. It's not quite properly translating, but I can see in the ingredients it has cherries in it. Next up we have this. I think this might be apricot. Yes, this is apricot jam. Next up we have a pate. Something sausage. That's about the extent of what I can see. Alright, this is poultry hunting sausage. Not exactly sure what that means. This is beef ham sausage with vegetable oil, and it is a coarse pate. Next up, these are banana chips. And then we have some tuna fish in salad cream. No idea what that means. Never heard of anything like that. Next up, this is I believe, a chocolate mousse. It's not quite translating, but I'm pretty sure this is a chocolate mousse of some kind here. Next up, we have looks like some sort of a pepper spread. This is probably not correct, but it's translating to... Okay, yeah, it has no idea what that says on the top, but that is pepper in the big letters. Alright, and next up we have a large accessory and brew kit. I will break into that and show a little more of these contents later. It's very large. Next up we have some sort of muesli. Let's translate this. Muesli with apples and strawberries, so that sounds pretty tasty. Next up we have some sort of curry sausage with, let's see, with potatoes. That sounds pretty good. And then last but not least, we have some, one moment, pea stew with cocktail sausages. I'm not sure if that's translating correct, but that sounds interesting. Alright, and as you can see, that's everything that was in the ration. It's a lot of stuff. It's pretty huge. And then here is the complete list of everything in English, German, or Deutsch, and French. I might post a picture of this so you can see everything that comes in there. But that is everything for what comes in the package. I will select what I want for breakfast, as I'll be eating this over a 24-hour period, and then I will be right back to you. Alright, and before we get into the breakfast, I figured I might as well open this accessory kit up and see what we have. So this is a Army Cappuccino, which is interesting. You don't see many of those more frilly beverages, I suppose you could say, around. This is gum with some sort of mint. We have a tea extract, 2 of them, and a coffee extract, and then another coffee extract. So that's 5 hot beverages and 4 cold isotonic beverages. This is some sort of a wipe or toilet paper. I haven't translated that. This is another one. This translates to coffee whitener. We would call them creamers in the US. This, I believe, is an ethanol alcohol wipe. We have some sugar. More sugar. It's probably all sugar here. Yes. 4 packets of sugar. We have 2 kinds of bouillon. I believe these are some sort of meat bouillon, but they might be vegetable. I will translate those when I prepare them. We have these are water purifying tablets. We have some salt. And some more salt. I haven't seen any pepper. And these are just more water purifying tablets. So that is everything. You get a total of 9 drinks in total, 5 hot and 4 cold, which is insane. That's over 2 liters, well over 2 liters of beverages. But I will pick out breakfast and I will see you then. Alright, so here is everything I selected for breakfast. There was plenty more I could have selected, but this is already a pretty huge breakfast, and I don't usually eat breakfast. There's plenty more in the ration. It really is huge. But without any further ado, I'm going to prepare this muesli right here. So this is muesli with apple and something else that I forget. Here we go. That's apple, and I think those are strawberries in there. So hold on just a second, and I will get the water. Alright, here we go. As you can see, this pouch has a really nice gusset, meaning it can stand up on its own. So it's really a dish all into itself. You don't need one. Speaking of dishes, this didn't come with any silverware, so I'm assuming that German soldiers are typically issued a separate mess kit with stuff like silverware and perhaps some dishes. But none of these meals should really need dishes. You can eat them right out of the pouch usually. So let's just mix this up a little bit. And then perfectly edible out of here, but for the filming, purposes of filming, I will just put it into this dish right here. Alright, so here it is, right out onto this dish here. As you can see, it has actual little pieces of apple and strawberry. But I'm going to say a little prayer real quick and get right into this. Alright, here we go, first bite. It's a nice flavor, I like it. It's pretty simple. Strawberry isn't my favorite fruit, but it's not overpowering. You can still taste that these are definitely real strawberries. It's a nice quality dish, I like it. It's nothing overly sweetened or processed. I haven't read the ingredients, but I don't think you'll find too much high fructose corn syrup or anything like that in here. And real fruit is an added bonus. But I will finish this up and I will see you then. Alright, so before we get into the rest of the food, I'm just going to prepare these drinks real quick. This is the citrus isotonic beverage. I don't know what quite all of those words say because I haven't translated it, but that's close enough. It says to mix it with 500 milliliters of cold water. So we're going to do that. Hopefully you can see the powder in there. Certainly smells very citrusy. And this calls for a whopping 500 milliliters of water. That's half a liter. Not sure if this cup is that big, but we're going to find out. Close enough, I suppose. And I just realized I used my spoon for the muesli, so I'm going to go grab one. Alright, here we go. Grabbed a couple spoons. Let's mix this up here. Mmm, that's really good. It's a bit strong because I wasn't able to mix quite in all the water, but it's actually really nice. It's like a cool, refreshing lemonade. Yeah, it's quite strong. Maybe a little too strong, but it is really good. I quite like it. And then next up, I'll make the cappuccino. All right, here we are. Let's find out what the German Army's idea of a cappuccino is. Probably going to be a bit different from the American version. And to be honest, I don't exactly remember what a cappuccino is. I'm not very well versed in coffee, but it looks chocolate. Smells like coffee. Other than that, I couldn't really describe it. Calls for 250 milliliters of hot water, so here we go. It's very pale and very kind of milky looking. Let's stir it up. Alright, it looks stirred enough. I'm going to go in for a taste test. Tastes like coffee. Beyond that, I couldn't really say. I would say, maybe coffee with a hint of chocolate in it. Like a milky coffee. Definitely doesn't taste like a black coffee. It's pleasant, but it's definitely not like a sweet, super chocolatey, syrupy coffee we have here. It's a much more toned down and subdued version. Um, and it's actually pretty nice. It's not the best coffee you'll ever have in your life, but it's pretty cool that they provide their soldiers with a cappuccino to start their day. You really don't see that much. Everything in this ration seems really high quality and well thought out. But that's it for the drinks. Let's get on to our snack here, I guess you could call it. These are the army biscuits that I'm ripping into. The Militarkicks, I believe, is close to how you would pronounce that. Alright, here we are. We got some crackers and our plate. I'm going to try this apricot jam first. Sounds pretty interesting. Alright, there we go. Looks really nice. Let me see if it needs to kind of stir it up a little bit. Sometimes they'll get separated a little. Alright, that looks really nice. I'm going to try just a little bit on the edge of this knife. That's a pretty nice jam. It is very sweet, which is a bit unexpected considering how toned down everything so far has been. Oops. Let's try this on a cracker that broke off. That is very tasty. That's a really nice jam right there. Um, it is a bit sweet, honestly, almost oversweet, but I don't mind at all. It's just really nice. And let's try some of this cracker without any jam on it. It's pretty standard biscuit, cracker, whatever you would like to call them. Um, it doesn't taste bad at all plain, actually. I wouldn't mind to eat these without any sort of jam at all, but the jam is a really nice added touch. I'm going to use this up, and then we'll get on to the pate. Alright, so that apricot jam is no more, along with most of the crackers, which is kind of unfortunate. It was a really good jam. It's kind of sad to see it all be gone. But next up, we have some sort of a sausage and ham meat pate with something in it. As you can see here, it says it's 66% Rindfleisch, I believe is what that's saying. Flesh or Fleisch, or however you pronounce it in German, basically just means meat. let's get into this here. Alright, so the corners have sort of gelatinized, it looks like. Um, Not sure if I should just leave that alone or try to mix it in. Um, I don't think I've really encountered that before. Oh, it just pops out like a little popsicle. But let's try to cut off a little piece here and try it. I quite like it. It's pretty unique. I think I've actually had this before. I've had a couple components from a German ration before, but never an entire one. So this is still a new experience. I do think I've had this kind of pate before. It's pretty good. It's quite meaty. If you don't like the idea of eating cold meat, you probably won't like this because it tastes very much like meat. Um, but I don't mind at all. I like pates. I think they're really different to what we have here, and I kind of like that. But let's try this with a little bit of cracker. It really is quite pleasant. It's just kind of like a cold sausage that has kind of been, ground up a little into a pate. It's really pleasant. I don't think most people would have a problem with eating this, even if they don't really like pates. Again, if the idea of a cold meat just freaks you out, you might not want to eat it. But I think if you did, you would probably like it. It's really not abrasive. It doesn't taste like kidneys or anything like that. I like it. It's quite fine. I will definitely be finishing it. Alright, there we go. All done with that pate. Those crackers can dry your mouth out a bit when you don't have jam on them or something that's like moist and cold like jam. But they give you a huge amount of drinks, so it was really no problem. I just washed it all down with a little bit of lemonade, and my mouth is back to being hydrated. So let's get into this Orifo branded energy bar cranberry, I believe is what that says. Don't know if you can read those ingredients, but there they are. Sorry, not the ingredients. These would be the nutrition facts. And then here are the ingredients. I don't read German very well, so I don't know what all is in here. I can see some sugar, some sort of gluten. That's about the extent of what I can read. So let's just find out here. Alright, here we go. Nice looking cranberry bar. It's got some sort of little sort of Rice Krispie pops inside of it. Oops. Without any further ado, it's pretty good. It's not an outstanding. It has sort of a heavy grain flavor, which can be a little off-putting, but it's really nothing serious at all. It's pretty average, I would say. It's not bad. A lot of people would probably expect for a ration to taste a lot worse than this. This is definitely a grocery store grade, just an average sort of energy bar you grab off the shelves. Not a particularly exquisite energy bar, but it's perfectly adequate. It's not bad. I'll definitely be finishing it. Alright, so one quick note before we end breakfast. I will not be trying this Roggenschrotbrot geschnitten, if I am saying that correctly. This tastes terrible, to me anyway. That's why I won't be trying it. It's probably an extremely acquired taste. Maybe some people like it. Maybe it's really popular in Germany. I have no idea. But like I said, I've tried a couple of these ration components before, and this was one of the things I've tried, and it was terrible. It was like eating a cork board, but worse. Um, I just really didn't like it. So I won't be opening it up or eating it because, as you can see, it has a pressure seal, and if I open it up and took a nibble and just spit it out, that would be a huge waste of food. So I'm just going to be not opening it right now. I don't know what I'll do with it. Maybe I'll keep it as sort of a collector's item. But I've ate it once before. It was terrible. That's my review. It wouldn't really be anything to gain if I opened it up and tried it. Um, It's probably fine to some people. I'm sure some people like it, probably. But I don't, and I don't think most Americans would who probably haven't been raised on it. Alright, welcome back. Here is what I have prepared for lunch. We have some banana chips for a snack and some vanilla cookies. Um, we have some accessories here. We have some coffee and some coffee whitener or creamer. We have biscuits and jam. We have an isotonic beverage, some bouillon, a chocolate bar for dessert, and the main course, which is some sort of sausage with potatoes. Let me get my translator up. Curry buckwurst with potatoes is what it translates to. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe it's some sort of buckwheat sausage and potatoes. But we're going to heat this up. Normally you would boil this in some water, but that's not practical for me. So I'm just going to open it up and put it onto a microwave safe dish and heat it. But let's see how it looks here. All right. I don't know how well you can look in there, but it looks like there's some squares of potatoes, some sauce, and some sausage. So I will prepare this right quick, and I will be right back. Alright, so while that's cooking, I'm going to prepare this exotic beverage powder real quick. Feels like there's a lot of powder at the top. Hopefully this won't fall out too much. There we go. So a lot of powder at the top. I couldn't really get it out. But here we go. Alright, let's get some water. Alright, here we go. Gonna have to go get a paper towel to clean that up. Looks like some sort of orange beverage powder. I'm going to go get the main course and I'll be right back. Alright, and here we are. We've got the main course here and the isotonic beverage right here. Gonna try this drink first. It's very strong. I couldn't get quite 500 milliliters of water in there. It's tastes like orange or pineapple, and it tastes how it looks. It's an orange beverage drink. It's not bad and it's not great. I don't mind it too much, but if you don't like orange, you won't like it. Enough about that though. Let's get on to the main course. I'm going to say a prayer real quick. All right, and let's get right into this. That's pretty good. Tastes like high quality sausage and potatoes. The sauce is nice. It's not spicy, which I was worried it would be a bit too spicy, but it's not at all. It's really pleasant. I think it's seasoned well and the sauce is really nice. It's a really good quality meal. About an 8 out of 10. I will definitely be finishing this. But I will see you when we're ready to open up the desserts and the snacks. Alright, and before we get into the rest of the meal, I still have a little bit of sauce left on my hands. So I figured now would be the perfect time to try out this ethanol wipe. Here we go. Still fairly moist. Keep in mind everything in here, the ration was dated for about 10 months ago was its best by date. So everything in here is a bit old, but this hasn't dried out yet. See if I can get it here. Pretty normal alcohol wipe, exactly what you expect, just like the kinds you get at restaurants after having wings or anything like that. It's definitely ethanol or alcohol or whatever. So yeah, perfectly normal, perfectly fine. But I will see you when we're ready for everything else. Alright, and since we also have one of these multi-purpose towels, I think it's a bit like a tissue paper, like paper towel or toilet paper. Going to set it out here to put our crackers or biscuits on. Saves little on dishes. I think that's as much as it unfolds. It's pretty small. It's like a coarse tissue. Here we go. Just keeps the crackers a little bit sanitary. And saves from any mess from the jam. But I will see you back when we are ready to eat all this stuff. Alright, here we are. I have some water prepared for our coffee. If I can find the tear line on here. Maybe there isn't one. Well, that works. Alright. Here we go. So this is of course an instant coffee. You just dump the grounds in and then stir, rather than needing any sort of filter or anything like that. This one calls for 300 milliliters of hot water, which is what we have right here. Alright, let's try this black first. It tastes like it uses the same base as the cappuccino. It's not a very strong coffee at all. It's pretty weak. I suppose if you didn't like coffee, you could probably drink it. But if you do like coffee, it's probably going to be a bit too weak for your taste. It is for mine. Regardless of that, though, we are going to be trying this with the coffee whitener, just to see how it is. Just dump the whole thing in there. Here we go. Yeah, and that just makes it a little weaker. It doesn't really taste creamy or milky, probably because it's powdered. And I don't know if there's any milk in here or if it's a substitute. I didn't really check. But it's not a bad coffee, and you probably will like it okay if you don't drink coffee, which I suppose is a plus. But let's get on to our sour cherry jam. Here we go. Looks very nice. It's definitely sour, and it's definitely cherry. Um, it is very fruity and very sour. Let's try this on a cracker or a biscuit. It's really good. It doesn't taste as sour when it's on a biscuit. It's a nice combination. I think it's well thought out. I will definitely be finishing it. It's nice and refreshing, and it doesn't dry your mouth out when it has a nice moist jam on top of it. Alright, next up I will sample these banana chips. These are probably more of a snack item to eat in between meals, but that doesn't really work well with filming. So I'm just going to try all the snacks with a meal. I don't usually snack throughout the day anyway. Not much special you can say about those. They're banana chips. They taste very real. Just bananas. In fact, that's the only ingredient that I can see there. Banana chips, and then they break that down. 70% banana and some sugar, stuff like that. Pretty natural and pretty real. I think bananas taste a lot better when they're not freeze-dried, but that's not really practical for a ration. So these are a nice substitute, and they taste pretty good. Set that down there and try not to spill out too many. So next up we have our cookies with something vanilla. Let me translate that. So I translated that real quick, and it just says vanilla flavored cookies. I've had the chocolate kind of these before, and they were really good. Let's see if vanilla holds up as well. So long as we can open them. There we go. They're a bit like Teddy Grahams without the graham flavor, so just the vanilla Teddy Grahams, I guess. I've never had them before. Don't even know if they make them, but that's what they taste like. The chocolate version, I believe, actually was just chocolate Teddy Grahams. These look a little different. They're shaped differently, but they're really good. They're nice, sweet. They're nice and crunchy. They're nice and fresh as well, despite being past their best date. But yeah, they're really good. All right, lunch isn't quite over yet. We still have this vegetable bouillon, which is meant to be mixed with water, hot water. Here we go. Gonna open this up. And you actually get 2 of these with the ration. So if you count these as drinks as well, we're up to 11 drinks, which is pretty insane. Alright. I don't know how well you can see that down there, but it looks like there are parts of vegetables and herbs in there. Let's try not to spill this time. Alright, there we go. Let me go get a spoon and stir that up, and we will try it. Alright, here we go. I've actually had this vegetable broth once before, and it was really good. Originally, I thought these things that were floating weren't mixing in like they were supposed to, but I realized those are actually herbs, which is really nice. Whole or parts of herbs in a drink or anything in a ration really isn't something you would expect. It's really nice to see. Without any further ado, let's try this. My water is very hot, but this tastes just like a really nice, pleasant broth, kind of like a chicken broth or something like that. It's really good. Maybe it's just me that likes that kind of thing, but it's honestly really nice, really pleasant, and it's probably pretty healthy and good for you as well. But I'll finish this up, and then we can get on to the very last item in our meal, which is going to be this chocolate bar. Alright, there we go, all done with the bouillon. Next up is this chocolate, if I'm saying that right, or chocolate. You've got some chocolate and sugar, some cocoa butter, an emulgator, whatever that is, and not too crazy many other ingredients. So it's fairly real, fairly unprocessed. Don't know quite what the word I'm looking for is. But it doesn't have too many ingredients like an American chocolate bar typically would. It looks like it's in perfect condition. Flip this over. And there you go, a nice little kind of mini chocolate bar. You do get 2 of these with each ration. Without further ado, let's try this. I quite like it. It's a nice kind of smooth chocolate. It's dark, but it doesn't taste too chocolatey, if that makes sense. It's not. It goes down very smooth. It's a very smooth chocolate for how much cocoa it has in it, which I think is very high, if I remember right. And this wraps it up for lunch. We had a lot of food, and there's still plenty left for me to snack on until supper. But I will see you there, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright, so here's what we have left for supper. This is not counting the drinks that aren't here, like the hot beverages and the bouillon, and there's also another one of these isotonic beverages or the accessories. As you can see, there is a lot of food left over. And I mentioned earlier I didn't see any pepper. I forgot we had this sort of pepper spread. I have no idea what that's about, but I kind of want to try it. I've never seen pepper in a spread before. But let's start out with an appetizer of this beef jerky. This is in English and it says classic beef jerky. Alright, so I was looking at this package and it turns out this is indeed made in Germany, so that's interesting. I didn't really know they ate beef jerky, and it's interesting that it's in English. So this is about 9 months out of its expiration date. but it is pretty tough. I don't know if that's because of the expiration date, but it was quite tough. But the flavor is still intact, and it's a pretty good flavor. So next up, let's try this tuna here in salad cream, I believe is what that translates to. And then we'll probably be trying this on some crackers, but just a moment and I will prepare that. Alright, so here that is out on a tray. I'm going to try some without the cracker first. That tastes exactly like normal tuna. There is absolutely nothing off about that at all. If you got a tuna sandwich and you just ate the tuna instead of the sandwich, that's exactly what it would taste like. Should go great with some crackers. Let's try this out here. You could really eat this plain just fine, but I think it'll pair very well with the crackers as well. Alright, here goes. Yeah, it's a nice, pleasant tuna sandwich here. I suppose if you're someone who's used to the rye bread, which also isn't here by the way, because I won't be eating it, this would probably go really great with that. I hate the rye bread like I mentioned, but this pairs perfectly with the crackers or on its own. I would imagine you could also probably mix it with some of the other food here. Um, but I'm not actually sure what this is, so I'll probably just be eating it and not trying to mix it because I'm not sure if it'll pair well. But I will finish this up and then we will probably get into the main entree. Alright, I'm all done with that tuna, and with the crackers, it's almost a meal unto itself. Next up is this wurst here, this wurst pate. Let me get you a more direct translation on that. Alright, so the best translation I could get on that by looking at the ingredients, it seems like it's some sort of a turkey pate. They call it poultry on the bold title there, but the first ingredient is tuna, and the second is drinking water. I'm not exactly sure why they specify drinking water, but I suppose it's good to know that it's safe to be consumed. There's not quite as much gelatin around the edges as the other one. Other than that, it looks pretty similar. Oh, wow. That is a very gamey taste. Let me try some more of this here before I put it on a cracker. Oh my. I don't know what that discoloration is. It's a little disconcerting considering how old it is. Let me try some from this side. Yeah, considering this is out of date, I'm going to avoid that side. This other side tastes better and different, which is kind of concerning all on its own. So I'm just going to take this portion out and make sure I don't eat it. I'm sure it won't kill me or anything, but I'd rather not take any chances. This all seems fine. As you can see, the color is really nice there. And let me get this tray over my table so I don't drop it on the table. There we go. Alright, let's try a little bit of this turkey pate with some cracker. It's pretty good. The cracker has a very strong taste, especially when you're dealing with meats as opposed to something like a jam that's really bursting with flavor. But they do pair well. I would say you can taste more of the cracker than you can of the pate, but that's not really a bad thing. They're nice crackers. Pairs pretty well. You could easily eat these separate or with each other. Really doesn't matter, and it's completely up to personal preference. I think I'll be finishing this off together here. And then next up will probably be our main course and our coffee. Alright, so before we open this main course, I'm just going to get this tea ready. Let's open this up here. Let me get a little closer to my camera. Alright. There we go. Can't see anything quite yet. Alright, so this is the tea extract, and I mean, it looks kind of like coffee. Yeah, that's the tea. Smells like a light blend of tea. Now this is kind of unique in that it's instant powdered tea, much like the coffee, and you don't put it in a tea bag, or rather it doesn't come in a tea bag. It's just ground up tea that you mix in with hot water. Very unique approach for tea, or at least fairly unique. It's interesting that people tend to do instant powdered coffee and bags of tea, and there's very little bags of coffee and a few instant powdered teas. But let's try not to spill here. It says it goes with 450 milliliters of hot water, which is quite a lot. Speaking of hot water, I just spilled a little bit on this table, so I'm going to go clean that up, and then we'll try this tea. Alright, I cleaned that up for the most part. So I also grabbed some sugar and some coffee whitener, just in case I think this needs a little bit more flavor. It's a pretty plain and kind of watery tea, quite honestly. Not the best I've ever had. It's basically the tea you get at like a hotel in the lobby, I think is the best way to pronounce or to describe it. Yeah, I don't think I'm very used to the powdered coffee whitener, but it never really seems to do that much to our tea. It always just tastes the same to me, which might be a me problem, but yeah, like I said, it's not bad, but it really doesn't taste anything too different with everything in there. Alright, so next up we have our main course. This is, according to my auto translator, a pea stew with cocktail sausages, and there's also some other vegetables in there. It looks like they have some carrots and some other stuff which I can't quite work out what they are. Has some sugar and salt near the bottom, and then these are this is apparently 46% peas, so that's interesting. Peas are not my favorite vegetables. I really prefer carrots or something else. Even tomatoes are better in some dishes, which I don't really like tomatoes either. But they might do this right, and it might be really good. This doesn't look too appetizing, but again, that might be just because I don't like peas very much at all. But I will get this heated up, and then I will see you then. Alright, dinner is served, I suppose. Doesn't look too appetizing to me. Again, that might just be because I don't really like peas. But there's no way to tell if it's going to be good other than eating it. So I'm going to say a quick prayer and get right into this. Alright, here we go. I'm going to try to get a nice scoop of everything. Hopefully it won't be too hot. It's not bad. If you liked peas, I bet you would really like this dish. I don't, but it's honestly not too abrasive. That's not the word I'm looking for, but it's all I can think of. The peas don't have a really, really strong pea flavor. I think the sausage and potato offsets that somewhat. I think another thing is the sauce as well as how the peas are prepared. They're not like American green peas that are kind of still sort of not crunchy, but they still sort of have some of their form. And I think that gives them a particular flavor that I don't like. These are more soft and mushy, and I actually like these more than I do the US bright green peas. And I'll put up a picture of the best example of those I can find. But it's not bad. It's definitely not the best meal in the ration so far. The lunch was really great, and I really like the muesli as well. But this isn't bad at all, and I'm surprised how much I do like it for being a pea dish. Alright, so I'm all finished up with that meal, and it was actually pretty okay. I think that the peas were more mushy and less flavorful. Was actually a big help rather than a hindrance. Because I think you could really taste the sausage a bit more. So for people like myself who don't like peas, you can kind of ignore them altogether and just focus on the meat, which tastes a lot better in my opinion. Um, it was also a pretty filling meal, and there was enough sausage there that I could have about half a sausage for almost every bite. But next up here, what I'm opening is the chocolate mousse. Pretty sure it's pronounced mousse. Don't think it's pronounced mouse, so that leaves mousse. So you can see down there we've got some chocolate powder. I'm going to open up this gusset. That way it gets a little bit more mixed. Here we go. You can see there's actually shards of chocolate in there, which is really cool. I'm going to translate this instructions with my phone real quick. I think it says something like mix with 100 milliliters of cold water and then let sit for 10 minutes, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to translate that. Alright, and here we are. It's time to check on this chocolate mousse. And looks very moussey. It looks like it mixed and reconstituted perfectly. I'm going to try to get this out onto this plate here, but it can be a little difficult to get stuff like that to all get in the plate, but I'll do my best. Alright, here we are. I got as much as I could out onto a tray, and I think I got most of it. Let's actually take this little bit off the side too. And I cleaned up a little bit. And now, let's get this all onto one side. It's a pretty hefty portion, especially if you don't spill a little bit of it onto the table. And there's still a little bit I couldn't get in the bag. But as you can see, it's a really nice portion. Without any further ado, let's see if this is any good. That's actually really good. Um, it's it's good. Let me try this again here. It's very interesting. It has almost a bit of a foamy, not a complexion, but a foamy texture. But the chocolate bits inside of it is a really nice touch. And I'm going to do something maybe a bit unconventional here. But let me try to see if I can make a nice dessert biscuit. Alright, here we go. Let me move the plate over here so I don't spill it all onto the table. That is pretty good. What I'm going to do actually is, rather than just eat that, I'm going to break it into little pieces and have myself a pudding with a little bit of crackers in it. Perhaps a bit odd and unconventional, but I think this will actually be pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. I like how the crackers are nice and crunchy rather than being soft and soggy since I just put them in. I don't like soggy crackers or soggy anything much at all. But since I just put it in, it's a really nice crispy texture to go along with the soft and kind of spongy pudding. Alright, all finished up with that pudding there. Let me get these chocolate marks off of my table. But yeah, I really can't say just how good and refreshing that was. It wasn't the number one mousse I've ever had, but it's probably a solid number 2 or 3. Um, I really liked it, especially for being a ration. That vanilla pudding I had last episode for the Slovenian ration didn't quite reconstitute, which might have been my fault. But this one did absolutely perfectly, and it was great. And the chocolate flecks were a really nice touch, and really made you feel more like you were eating in a restaurant than out of a ration kit. which you can really say the same for this whole ration. Really high quality food, and it's really nice. Excuse the chocolate on my thumb here, but let's try this gum. It was a little softer to bite into than I expected since it has a hard shell, but the flavor is a nice pleasant spearmint. Like, get a cross section. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just normal gum. Unfortunately, I did not get to this pepper spread. I didn't really find anything to put on it. Everything was seasoned pretty well, but I do have some upcoming videos, and I'm going to save this and hopefully find one of the components in my next videos will need this, because I'm kind of excited to try it, because we really don't have anything like a pepper spread here in the US that I have ever seen. Alright, and then I don't know how well you can see in that box there, but this is everything that is left at the end of the day. We still have a orange isotonic beverage powder. We also have half the grapefruit one because I only put half in for supper. We've got another paper towel type thing. We've got 3 sugar packets, another vegetable bouillon, 2 packets of water purification tablets, this rye bread, 170 grams, which I will not be trying. But in an emergency, I would definitely eat it if it's all I had to eat. We have these matches, more water purification tablets, some salt, and then some tea and coffee, which I will also be trying later. I don't know if that'll be for a video or just because I want some nice convenient tea or coffee. But none of this will go to waste, except perhaps that rye bread. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that. I'm pretty sure I won't be eating it, but who knows, we'll see. But that wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and share your ideas or advice in the comments section. If you did not enjoy it, please give it a thumbs down, and provide some constructive criticism through a comment how I could improve and where I went wrong. Stay tuned for my future videos as I have some exciting ideas in the works, and keep an eye out for a poll to vote on the next international rations that I try. Thanks again, and I hope to see you on the next video.